Hi guys, welcome back to Girl Therapy. I'm your host, Nicole. I am here today with the most special guest, Holly Brooks.
Hi guys.
Have you done podcasts before?
Yes, but never in person. Always virtually. I've done I've done like 2.
Okay.
So this is my third time.
This is your third time. I am just so honored to have you here. You're such a gem, and you honestly saved my day today. You were my angel. So
She's so sweet. I was like, come here, hug me right now.
I had a really bad morning, and Holly, it was her first time meeting me, and the poor girl is like, I'm downstairs waiting, and I'm like, I'm crying.
Yeah, you were just to let you know, I am in tears. I was like, okay, that's fine. I just will go into mom mode. I was just like, come here.
She's like, come here, and I'm just crying, and I look like a mess, and that was our first time meeting, and I was like, that's horrible.
It can only get better though. It's only going to be up from here.
I know, right? We really dove into things quickly.
Yeah, you were also fine. You were just you pulled yourself together so quickly.
Because I was crying all night.
The thing is, that wasn't weird at all. There was no part of me that was like, I don't know this girl and she's crying. I was like, my friend is crying.
I was like, she's gonna think I'm crazy. Yeah. She's gonna. It's always boy drama.
I'm just like, oh god, fine. Here we go.
And then she was subjected to a Pilates class and all day with me.
It's been really fun, guys.
No, but I'm seriously so grateful for you, and you are even better in person. I feel like I already know you. Like I said, we were already talking about that. It's crazy,
isn't it? And we've only ever really spoken in DMs, but I just feel like we just knew each other instantly.
Right away. Shall we tell them we have to rehash how me and you met?
It's such a wild story.
When I think back,
I was a hey girly to you.
Oh my god, you were.
I slid into your DMs and was just like, listen, I need to tell you something.
So if you guys remember Orlando Man, he I hate that. I know
shivers.
My body's can we not?
Rejecting the conversation.
Yeah, so I met Orlando Man over on Raya. Mm-hmm. And then I recorded Get Ready With Me in his apartment when I was visiting him in Orlando. And I was like, oh, does anybody recognize this room? Holly was one of the many. But so many people recognized the room, which was a blessing.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It was crazy because when I saw your video, so I'd actually been on your profile prior to that, which is
really?
I don't know if I told you this. So he'd gone really weird with me. And I was like, there's something up here, something's weird. So I went on his, which isn't very like me, but I was just I'm just gonna investigate. Went on
as you should, as anybody does.
Went on his followers, and obviously it's the top. Top is the most recent followed, and you were on there.
Wait, they still have that feature?
I think they must do, because you were right at the top, and that's Instagram was doing its bit to help me out, and you were at the top, and I went on your profile, and it was obviously Miami, and I was like, right, this girl is stunning, she has tattoos, they have so much in common, she is his type. So I was just I think I remember being I'm gonna gracefully bow out of the situation. I am not competing with this woman. I'm just you know what, it was a fun ride, see you later. But then left it, and then when I was on my For You feed and I was scrolling, your video popped up, and I was like, I recognize her, and I was like, and then I watched the video, and I was like, oh, I was right.
Oh,
crazy.
My women's intuition is so strong.
Yeah,
we just know.
You do just know. You get a sixth sense in your body sometimes.
Yeah.
You're something's not right, and always go with that gut feeling.
Yes.
I never ever ignore it now.
You never should.
No.
I've ignored it so much in the past, and it has never served me. I'll tell you that.
It's
gotten me in some bad situations. Were you guys talking when me and him were?
So we'd literally just stopped speaking. So I was supposed to be there when you were there, but I basically turned around and was just
I took your spot.
There was an opening.
I was your shoe-in. I was your fill-in.
Literally. That's why I was just this man moves so quickly, because we literally had this conversation 2 days before, and I was like, I don't want to be do this anymore. I knew from the beginning it was not a long-term thing for me anyway, but he was just giving me all the red flags, and I was just no, I don't want to be involved. And then you were just there, and I was like, oh shit. That's why I was I didn't know whether to say anything, because I was done with the situation anyway. So I kind of sat back for a while, and I didn't message you. And I think it was after you did your first podcast episode, I was like, I have to put my 2 pence in here. I have to say what's happening.
And I'm so happy you did. And also I appreciated the support on the TikTok video too, because me coming forward with all this stuff, I felt like I was bearing the burden of everything that was happening, but also I didn't know him that well. It really was just a small thing. So for him, he's being why is this girl who doesn't even know me blowing me up, like blowing up my spot essentially, and like making it seem like it's something bigger than it was. But for me, it was like, this isn't about me. This is about like saving all the other girls who you've put through so much. And I had the chance to like talk to pretty much all of you guys on the phone, and like all of you guys opened up and shared your stories with him, where I was like, well, if they're not going to talk about it, I'm going to talk about it.
Also, and like, you in presenting that like information online, like notified other girls of like what he was doing, and like you don't know how long they would have been speaking to him, like how much more involved they would have got with him. So also I think like now if you like search him, that stuff comes up. So I'm just like, you probably saved many a girls from like a lot of trauma.
I've had a lot of girls still message me and just be like, oh, I matched with him, I matched with him, or like I was talking to him. I had a few others, but I like couldn't even like, at that point it was like, I need to let it go.
I think it had its like moment, and then it was just kind of like, actually everybody now needs to remove themselves from the situation and just like not give him a second of anyone else's time. He got a lot of it for his 5 minutes.
You have him blocked and everything?
Same. Bye. Done. Removed.
If I ever see that man again, like I'm gonna go feral.
I would pay good money to see that.
I could literally snap him over my knee.
Oh my god. Honestly.
Am I wrong?
I'm crying. Oh god. Oh goodness.
Me and I were talking in the car and we're just like, why were we into that?
No, it's so like, I think it's just like you get so caught up in situations sometimes. So like I'm such a romanticizer of like so many things in my life, and I'm just like, it shoots me in the foot every time. But I think when I now have like, you know, the opportunity to look back on it, I'm just like, oh god, I was just like, I lost my mind for like 3 weeks I lost my mind. And it came back, and that was why I was just like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I'm done.
I don't know, I'm happy that I matched with him because I met you and I met so many amazing girls, and I got so many girls out of that situation. So that was like the good thing that came.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's always like a silver lining. And
how's your dating been since Orlando, man?
It's been like, it was basically like a non-event, because after that I was like, I'm so done.
Like, did that kind of like ruin things for you for a minute? Because it ruined things for me.
I think I was just a bit like, oh, like it just sucks. Like I feel like when you have like not like a setback, but I think like the dating world is so wild anyway, and that was obviously like so extreme that I was just like, can we trust anyone? Like,
I know.
Like, how can you trust like what anybody says these days? So I think I took like a massive step back, and I was just like, oh, like I'm just not really interested in like the dating scene. And like I think I kind of came into this year like, after my breakup last year, I was like, I wanted to be single for like a good period of time anyway. Like I owed it to myself, because I kind of came out of a relationship and then was in a new one within like a few months. And like, like I didn't really give myself like time to like heal from like that situation. So I was like, literally I need to be single for like a year. So even like getting into that situation with him was like kind of out of the character that, or like out of what I wanted to do that year anyway. So afterwards I was just like, I need a break.
You got involved and you're just like, of course.
I was just like, okay. It was basically the universe like, no, like you need more time, like step back. Because I think as well, when you like date people, like they kind of present like lessons to you, and I think that was maybe the universe like, what did you learn last year? Actually there was still a million red flags, so you didn't really learn much, so go back and like rethink about it.
He definitely was somebody who like I caught on to the red flags very quickly, and I was able to emotionally like detach really quickly from the situation, because as much as I like enjoyed our conversations at the beginning, I was like, well, that wasn't the real him, and these red flags are flagging, and I can't ignore them.
There's like always tells, I think, especially if you've been in a relationship with someone that's like super toxic, or you've been in a toxic situation, you can just pick up on those things like so much quicker. And like I was the same, like I was just like, you're saying things, and like the way my body is like feeling, and like the way I'm like receiving them like is making me like alert, and like that's not a good thing. So I was just like, I just know that like this isn't like the truth, like the character you're playing like isn't you. Right.
My intuition was screaming the whole time I was there too. Like
you had like really bad anxiety,
really bad anxiety, and like I don't get anxiety. Like I'm a very calm person unless there's something going on. But if nothing's happening and I just woke up and I was like the biggest anxious mess, like I couldn't even stomach like food and like coffee, I was like, something's weird.
Your body like knows before you do, like all the time. And I had this like for the first time like last year, and I remember with my ex when I met him and like we were kind of getting into the relationship, I remember I was in the car one day and I was driving, and I just like started to panic, and I had like a massive panic attack. I was like crying my eyes out, and I was like, my Delulu brain was like, oh my God, it's because I'm falling for him so hard. And I'm like, no, it's because my body was like, there was so many reasons to like run. And it was like telling me that. But it was probably the same thing with you. Like your body was like, we need to get out of this situation. And like, how do we like let her know that she's not safe?
She's not safe. Right. Exactly. Wow, women are amazing.
I know, we really are.
We're so great.
Especially when we listen to that. That's when we're amazing. But when we ignore it, that's when it's like, no, come on. Like,
it's no good.
Yeah.
It's no good. Well, let's talk about your Strong Girl Society. I love the stuff that you post of just about like encouraging women. You've really like created a community.
Yeah.
So like I want to hear more about that because I think that's amazing.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's like that's the thing I'm so proud of. And it came so like randomly, because I think you can have a social media platform, but that doesn't necessarily give you like community.
Right.
And it literally came from a Facebook page. So like 2 years ago, I was in the gym. I remember I was like, I think I was going to Barcelona on holiday. And I was like trying to like do like a deadlift PB. And I remember thinking like, this is the first holiday I've gone on where like I'm not in the gym doing like ridiculous amounts of cardio, trying to lose weight. I'm actually here trying to lift as heavy as possible. And I was just like, wow, like it was just such a like insane feeling and like euphoric feeling of like, I've got away from that like toxic dieting like narrative that like has controlled me for so many years. So I remember I went home and I was just like, I want to try and like help other people feel the same, but I don't know how, because sometimes on social media it's hard to really connect with people. Like you can comment and like, you know, post things, but to actually like get people like, you know, involved in something is like a little bit difficult. So I remember thinking like, oh, where can I, you know, create like a closed group? And I was like, oh, I'll create a Facebook group. So it was actually Strong Girl Summer, first of all, and I made it like a challenge that like I wanted to challenge everyone to like step away from dieting for the summer and actually like embrace, you know, lifting heavier.
I love that.
Yeah, like doing like PBs in the gym, like getting out on runs and like enjoying their trips and holidays without, you know, feeling like they need to be the smallest version of themselves. So I literally just like started that really randomly, and then kind of rolled around to the end of summer and like people post on the Facebook page, we were like helping each other and supporting each other. It was so sweet. And I was just like, oh, I don't want this to end. And then I was just like, guys, like, should I keep it going? And everyone was like, yeah, definitely keep it going. So it just like rolled on from that, which is such a like, I love the way it started because it just like, it was never, I never started it for it to be like a brand or this big community or anything. It just like, I just wanted to like help other girls do the same thing. And yeah, it's been so nice to see it like flourish in the way that it has. I mean,
that's why you're so successful and why it's so genuine. People can feel that, and you didn't create it to be a brand. You didn't create it to be a big thing. You created it with the intention of like, I want to build a community and like relate to people and feel like people can motivate each other. And that's something that social media and just the world generally lacks now.
It's hard to like have that connection and have those conversations with people because I mean, number one, like social media is just so like diluted anyway. Like there's just like constant, and there's constantly like new information being thrown at you. So it's hard to like get people together in like that sense.
Right. How many people are a part of it?
So on the Facebook group, I think we have like nearly 19,000 now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, which is crazy. And obviously we have like the running guides, and we've done like thousands of those have gone, which is crazy.
You just did like a little tour too, right?
Yeah, I did like a run tour through people. The UK. It was so nice. Honestly, it was like that's gonna be like a highlight of like my life. It was so cute. I went through like different cities in the UK and just hosted like run clubs.
Are you gonna do it in the US?
People have asked.
You have to.
I just get really like, I think obviously like for me, like even if one person showed up it would be great, but like I just get really nervous because like this isn't like, you know, like my audience isn't here, but I think it will have to happen now. It's like also like even if not so for me, just like for other people in like their community to be able to meet like other girls that run,
like you don't have to be there either. Like it could just be like inspiring other groups of girls
and
so
they can make friends because it's hard, like especially in like your 20s, like meeting people, making friends. And that was what so many of the girls came to the run clubs and they were like, I met this girl and like she lives down my road and we're gonna run together now. And I'm like, I love that so much.
I feel like people always ask me, that's one of my biggest questions, is like, how did you move to a new city and make new friends? And like you moving from the UK to LA, how long ago did you move to LA?
Like 6 months.
Yeah, really recent.
Yeah.
So how did you make friends?
I think, I don't know whether you've like found the same, but I think my situation was slightly different with like social media really helped me. So I'd obviously posted that I was like coming out and moving out, and then I had like, I was really fortunate, I had like some girls reach out, or like I'd met girls on like brand trips and stuff, and they had friends that I met. So it kind of happened like naturally through that. And then like I've met like their friends and it's kind of knocked on. But I think like the biggest piece of advice I would say, and you've probably found the same thing, is like just put yourself out there. Like you have to say yes to everything. Like when I first moved, my social battery was on 0 constantly. I was so burnt out. I was saying yes to things. I was like literally having to like pull myself to get there to like go to dinners and still do all the stuff I wanted to do. But I was just like, you just have to like throw yourself in. And then when you've made your friends, like now I'm at the point where I'm like, I need an evening
now
by
I
myself.
can say no.
Like, yeah, they're like, let's go for dinner. I'm like, I'm gonna pass, but like
Yeah.
I'll see you like in a few days because they're like your friends now.
Right.
But like in the beginning, you're like, yeah, of course. Like I love going out.
Like, yeah,
all
I'm
the
like the
time.
most reliable person and I'm always gonna be there.
Yeah.
I'm always on.
Like I feel like me and my friends, like, you know, when you first go, did you go to college?
Yeah.
You know, when you're first in college and you're going out drinking all the time, you're meeting new people. We call it like freshers in the UK. Freshers. It's like Freshers Week. Okay. And I was like, I felt like when I moved here, I redid Freshers Week as like an adult, and I was like going out all the time and like meeting all these people. And
no,
like,
that makes sense.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
I was just like, I feel like I've entered this whole. I was like, am I a party girl now? And then like 3 weeks later, I was like, no, I'm
that
not.
was
like,
me.
yeah.
Imagine moving to Miami though, and like I had definitely a party phase when I was younger. Like in college, I definitely like went out and partied. And I'm definitely like a social person, but I also like my me time.
Yeah.
When I moved to Miami, I was the yes girl, saying yes to everything, and it's like promoters reaching out to you. So like I'm going to clubs, I'm going to go on yachts, I'm on yacht days, yacht days. Like I was like going out like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Yeah. Like Tuesday may have been my only day off.
Really, that's crazy. Did you feel like you like struggled to find your people, or do you feel like you found them?
Like I feel like I think back to some of the people who I associated with when I first moved here, and it was a lot of people who I met at the clubs and at parties, and those, because that's not me of who I am, those friendships didn't last very long. But throughout that, I was able to weed out the people who were similar to me and were also maybe just there to meet people or had similar interests, and then it evolved from there. So I still am friends with like probably 2 or 3 people who I met like when I first moved here, but that's like 50 other people who I never like, who I connected with maybe on Instagram or for a short period of time, but never spoke to again. It was definitely good to like get involved and get that out of my system, because then I was able to be like, well, I did all that.
Yeah, you've done
and now I don't need to say yes to like every boat, and I can pick and choose, and like I did the partying thing and got it out of my system. I did the freshie week. But I met a lot of my friends through like friends of friends though, and also just like being at the gym. I've met so many people at the gym. People who follow me obviously have like either come up to me or like
it's
been
so
like,
nice.
oh, you should connect with this person because like they're also in Miami and or like at events and stuff. But I know not everybody has that ability access. But I love that you created like the Strong Girl Society because of that. And that's something that I like want to do. I used to do like, I've done a few group fitness classes where I got girls to like come in, but like I want to teach, you know? So actually this morning after I dropped you off, I signed up for the instructor training. So I have that locked in.
I feel like you'd be amazing at that.
So yeah, I'm excited.
That's so exciting.
I'm going to be doing the yoga, guys. I'm going to learn how to teach yoga.
I'll come. You can teach
so
me.
Then I could do a little maybe we could do a little run and then yoga after.
Like that can be my first run club.
Yeah,
we could do it. It's like a split event.
That would
really
be
fun.
So much fun.
That would be really cute.
So yeah, that's exciting. I feel like me and you also have had a really similar journey with like fitness and like health and our bodies and like confidence and figuring out balance. Can you talk about like, I don't know, your struggles and like your eating? I don't know if you've had like eating disorders. Like,
I think I was like 14. Between like 14 to 16, I struggled like really, really badly. I think it was like as I kind of like, you know, you start to get like more self-aware of your body in school and things like that. I think like that really hit me really hard, and I developed bulimia, and I had that for like 2 years before I went to therapy, and like luckily kind of got out of that headspace. But I feel like not having bulimia didn't mean that I didn't struggle like with the narrative that I'd infiltrated into my brain. Like I really struggled with that for, oh my goodness, like years, and like still have days now. Like even though I feel like I'm in a really good place, like I'll still have the odd day where I'm just like, oh, like if I'm stressed, like I'll stress about my body, and I'm just like, that's not the problem here. Like it's like that's what I project my stress onto because it's easier to control that. But it really wasn't until like I would say my early 20s where I managed to kind of like actually fall in love with fitness for like how it made me feel, not how it made me look. And that was like such a pivotal moment for me because I was like, I'm actually in the gym, like enjoying it. And then you kind of learn to be like, okay, well, if I want to keep enjoying this, I need to fuel my body because I can't be like lifting weights or doing, like for me, it's running. Like I can't run if I'm not fueling my body. And like that keeps me like so accountable with like my diet and looking after myself. And I think that really like changed the game for me. But yeah, I definitely went through that phase of like, I just wanted to be like so lean at the beginning of my fitness journey.
Like
I think
so
you
small.
had the same thing.
Like I just wanted to be like smaller.
And
always.
like was like obsessively like I was like, that's all I cared about was like losing weight, like seeing that scale number go down. Like I wanted my clothes to be baggy, like I wanted to be tiny.
It was always like a diet too. I could never be satisfied. It's like I lost weight, then I want to lose more weight, now I want to fix all these other things. And through that, I obviously like my confidence suffered because I was constantly beating myself up for not being this or not being that. And I think back to that time and I just feel so sad about how like I worked so hard to lose all this weight and then I was like throwing on baggy clothes because then I was ashamed.
Yeah, exactly.
Of like how I looked and like the comments that would come and people would like criticize me, and it's like before I weighed too much. Now it's like I'm too small. And now they want me to eat. And like,
was that through social media? People were like commenting on it.
Honestly, now people do comment a lot about my weight. Really? That's something that like, I don't know. I feel like because I post fitness content and food, I did used to post food content. People felt entitled to comment on that because I share that stuff. And I'm just a girl. Like I'm a normal girl. Like my body will fluctuate. Like my weight will fluctuate. Like if I have some months where I'm really good and then I have other months where I'm just enjoying life, you know, and I'm on vacation or I need to take a break or I'm just saying yes and I'm going out to restaurants and like naturally your body's gonna gain weight. And people find it really hard to accept the fact that like you can gain weight and like be happy or okay or like
I think it's just this constant thing of like, oh, she's gained weight.
Right.
It always has to be a negative thing.
Right.
It's just like it's not. And like your body will be representative of like the phase of life that you're in and like if you're going out and you're having more fun, like naturally sometimes that does lead to like a little bit of weight gain because you're not prioritizing like exercise or nutritious eating and like that's fine. Like I had that when I first moved to the US, like the first few months when I was like in my like freshest week 5.
Also probably like the food here is a lot different.
It made me like so bloated. Like I think my body still hasn't quite adjusted to it. Well, I think it had.
I don't know if it ever will because I don't think ours.
I went back home for 2 weeks and I was like, I'm like, you know, going to the toilet regularly again. Like I was just like, what has been happening?
Oh my God.
It's like, and like I'm not bloated all the time. Like I felt less like, you know, fatigued. I think like the food here is slightly wild.
That's really depressing to hear.
Sometimes I read the ingredients and I'm like, oh, like you guys, there's certain things that are illegal in the UK that you guys have in your food here, like colorings and stuff. Like we banned them like years ago. So I'm just like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's not good. No. Honestly, like when I started getting self-conscious about my body was when it was in college. Like you were pretty young.
Yeah.
Like I feel like 15, 16 is really young to be like that aware.
I think it was just like, it was like maybe that was like when social media started to arise.
Is that when you started? Like when did you start on social media?
Oh God, not till like way later. Like when I was like, I had my fitness account from like 2021 I think.
Okay.
So it's like
it's really recent.
Yeah, so it's like 3-4 years I would say I've been on like socials, but I think it was more so like I don't know whether you ever had like Tumblr.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
I was like and like Tumblr had like a lot of very toxic like dieting stuff. Like it was deep and I was like,
it was like Alexis Ren.
Yeah, the Alexis Ren like diet. And I'd be like, oh, I need to be doing this, or it'd be like, I remember there was like a military diet and like things like that, and I'd be like, yeah, like, and it was like I don't even know honestly.
What
like,
was that
or like there was like a rainbow diet, and it was like you could only eat certain colors of certain foods, but it was just not. It was basically like teaching you ways to restrict your diet like massively, and I just was like, this is like I want to be like so small, and like I think. Obviously the problem is wider. Like the problem wasn't to do with my body. Like there was obviously like other things going on, but I was just like, this is how I can like control it. And I just got so fixated on it.
I went to college and I was in a group of living in a sorority, and everybody was really like skinny and just naturally. And I was like, wait, like I came from like a fitness background where I was growing up doing martial arts and I was a gymnast. So like I naturally just was more muscular, and those are just like my genes. I'm short and muscular. Like that's just how I am. But yeah, like being surrounded by that, it's like no one ever made me feel that way. Like, but I just felt like I didn't fit in, and there was a lot of stuff going on like at home too. Like my parents were like divorced and all that stuff, and I think I couldn't control that situation. But like I can control what's going on with me. And then that's when like it started, and it just spiraled.
It's like, it can get out of hand so quickly. I think especially like something that can start as like, you know, I'm just going on a diet. And that was like what happened with me. I was just like, oh, like I just wanted to lose a few pounds.
Right. But that's what it was for me. I like started like this little like tea detox.
Yeah.
And then it was like,
they had those in the UK. Was it like booty?
Mine was like tiny tea, I think. It's always like a tea villain story.
I like remember going into like my like local like newsagents and like buying it because it was just like all the girls wanted it, so like it was just like everywhere. And I remember like buying it and like taking it home and like talking to my like, but my mom like she was like dieting, and
so was my mom.
Yeah, so I kind of had
so she was like, add it to the other teas.
Yeah. Put it in the cupboard, like buy 2 next time. And I was like,
she's like, we can swap diet pills. Yeah. I'm like
like whoa. So I think like you know, if you don't have kind of like a role model being like that's wrong,
right,
which like I think as well, like our mums were going through the same culture we were going through, like they were 100%. Seeing the same things we were seeing, so they weren't to know any better anyway. Whereas like now I think if my child came home with like booty, I'm like slapping that out of their hand,
out of here,
and I'm like taking them to McDonald's. I'm like, this is what we're gonna be eating, like we're eating good, like we're not doing that.
I did just talk to my mom about it too, because I did a podcast episode about it, and she was like, I was like, yeah, her mom probably, you know, pressed those ideas on her too. And like she was saying, she's like, yeah, like grandma used to like make comments about my body and say that my ass was too big and all this stuff. And I'm like, it's crazy now because we live in this world where everyone's getting BBLs and want to look like the Kardashians and have a fat ass.
The beauty standards are like so
they're all over the place though, because we went through a phase, I think because of Alex Earl or just in general, everyone was getting boob implants. Before it was like everyone wanted a flat chest, and then it was like everybody wanted big boobs, and then it was like big butts, and now it's like smaller butts and Pilates and like lean body.
Like Ozempic is obviously
like, obviously now is taking over the world,
which is so scary.
My mom's a pharmacist. She says the amount of prescriptions that she writes for Ozempic a week is like insane.
I just feel like it's so sad to me that like people feel the need to like put that into their body in order to like look a certain type of way. Like it's just, but yeah, it's scary to me that like people are like, oh, this is the new trend of like body, and I'm like, can we just like stop? Like bodies are not like that. We don't need to adhere to like trends. Like just look the way that like you look.
Just embrace your body.
Also like the fact that like it's diabetes medication, and I've seen so many people with diabetes, like they can't get a hold of their own medication, or it's inflated the price in the US, so people can't afford it now. Like people will be dying because of this, because like girls are taking it to like lose weight, which is like wild.
I can't even believe that they like it's been so normalized now, and it's just so like readily available.
Exactly. I've like walked past, like when I was in New York, I was like walking past like multiple places, and they have signs outside, and they're like, we sell like weight loss medication. And I'm just like, so you can literally walk into shops here and just like go and pick it up.
Like get
like it's
Zempi.
Like groceries. Yeah, get some Zempi. Like, oh, like shopping list for the week, like broccoli, Zempi. Like,
do you feel like girls' confidence has suffered more apparent than not?
I feel like we got into a really good place. Like I felt like last year across like social media, I felt like everything felt quite positive, and like we were seeing a lot of representation of like different bodies, and girls were like wanting to get strong. And then I feel like this year it feels like we've kind of taken like 10 steps back, but I do also feel like post-Olympics it's had a really positive effect.
Sorry, trigger warning.
Sorry.
Guys, Orlando Man is in the Olympics. Well, Paralympics. Let's
The Olympics has given us like a lot more representation of like female body types, which is I think we really needed it. Like I feel like I was just seeing so much of my For You feed about like Ozempic or like all the other weight loss medications.
Also, what was that? There's an influencer who everyone's been talking about recently. I forget her name, who promotes basically eating disorders.
Oh, is it Livy? Livy Schmidt?
Yes.
So it's funny because like I've seen her, but I think my algorithm's more like not like seen her in person, like online. I think my algorithm's more like US, so she's not hit the UK audience yet.
Okay.
And I'm like, please just stay away. Like it's like bizarre.
It's crazy.
She's that like, here's how to like stop craving food or like wanting food. Here's how I reduce my appetite.
Here's
and
how to disappear.
Yeah. Here's how to be as thin as a piece of paper. Like no, but like also I think because she's just like, I'm just sharing what works for me. We don't need that stuff shared.
We don't need that.
Nobody needs access to that information. Like if you want to do that in your own time, whatever. Nobody's like, I mean, we are slightly judging you, but like do it. But like don't there's impressionable young girls on social media and like that, because if I'd have seen that like 5 years ago,
victim
number one, me on Tumblr taking notes, like
it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's really sad. And like I even stopped doing, I used to love doing, like, I love doing food content.
Yeah.
I used to love doing my what I eat in the days, but I found that I was like, I don't know if this is helping people or hurting people, because I don't want people to think that if they eat exactly what I eat, they're going to look exactly like me, or this is the only diet you can have. Yeah. Because me and you were talking, and sometimes I'm like, oh, I want to build a shelf this year. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I also want to be lean down. I changed too. Yeah. So for me, I was just kind of like, I feel like I need to stop sharing this and just do what works for me, and maybe inspire people with just like meals or recipes. Yeah. And then they can kind of figure it out for themselves. From that what
they want. Yeah. A lot, like, so when I started on social media, like a lot of my TikTok, like if you scroll all the way down, was purely what I ate in a days, because they were so popular, and like that was how my page started.
Yeah, so was mine. Yeah, it was like that sound, like
yes, and there's like you just like I was like filming on like Snapchat, like that was how like I made my like TikToks. But if I watch that, I find it uncomfortable to watch my content back now, because I think when I watch that back, like this was in my first like stage of ever like trying to like lose weight, and I was so lean. I was eating like, I had like a video where like I'm eating a burger and I made like carrot fries with it, because like I was like, I don't have enough carbs.
I've been there.
Yeah,
no, I've been with the carrot
fries. In the time I was like, this is like whatever, but like that's actually like, now I look back, I'm just like, oh god, like I would never make a video like that again. But I do what I eat in a days, more so to kind of show people like how much I feel for running. That's kind of like how I like to show it. It's just like, this is actually what I'm eating. And like, I think if I ever went into, not that I ever would, but if I was ever dieting, I wouldn't like share that content, because I'm just like, that's not beneficial for anyone. And like it can be taken in like such a harmful way. And yeah, like you said, like you don't want people to be like, oh well, I'm just gonna eat, because I used to think if I eat exactly what they eat, I'll look the same. And it's just like, no, like that's not how bodies work.
Our genetics are so different. And like I used to be so afraid of carbs. Now I'm like, my body actually looks better when I eat carbs. Yeah. Same. And in the morning too. Yeah. Like I need that big piece of like toast like in the morning.
I crave it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know about like how you feel about it, but I feel like I way prefer my body like now with like weight on me, as opposed to like when I look back, I just think like, oh god, I look like I have no life in me. Exactly. And there's no energy to me, because I was tired.
Yeah.
Wasn't eating
I know, I was so tired.
Yeah.
I was such a bitch.
Yeah.
I was so hungry. Also, I was such a bitch.
You dissociate from conversations, because you're just like sat there like staring in space, because you're like, I'm hungry.
All you can think about is like food and survival.
Even if I would go out on the weekends, it would just be like, that was the narrative that was constantly in my head, was just like, oh, okay, well, like, did I eat well enough in the week to be going out and eating this? And it was just like, that's so consuming. And like being free of that is like the best feeling in the world. It's the best feeling.
Like the mental battle I used to go through when I had to think about, oh, I have to go to this like dinner tonight, or like I'm like, I gotta pull up the menu. I have to like not eat all day. I have to know exactly what I'm gonna get when I get there. And then I get there, and then I still want like to like make it less or not eat at all, or maybe not even go. Yeah. Oh my god, it was jail. Like I was in jail in my brain. It was horrible.
I remember I went to bed one night and I was just like, I'm gonna feel like this for the rest of my life. And like I felt so sad about it. And
that's how I felt too. Yeah. I was like, I'm never gonna be able to eat a cookie and like not think about it for 3 days.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just like at some point you do just hit that turning point. Yeah. And it's just like, it's the best feeling ever.
Do you think it happened when you did it happen when you made your Strong Girl Society?
I think like prior to that, like it was kind of like the year before that. Like I don't even know like where. I think I was with a PT and I lost a lot of weight like with her, and we were in lockdown, and it was when we came out of lockdown and I kind of like started to go out a little bit more and like actually kind of try to find balance, because I hadn't had that previously. Yeah. And I think it came from like actually gaining a bit of weight back and being like, whoa, like I've gained weight and like it's not the end of the world, and like I like how I look, I like how I feel, I'm enjoying my life, but I'm still in the gym. And I was just like, okay, like I've got all of the things aligned, and like that felt really nice. And that was kind of like, I didn't have that when I was dieting. Like I was miserable, even though I was the leanest I'd ever been. I thought I'd be like, I feel great and I'm so happy, and I was like, I wasn't. Like I was sad,
because it was more of like a materialistic goal. It was like an external thing. It wasn't, like you said, it wasn't about how you feel. Yeah. It's about how you look. Exactly. And I think as I've gotten older, I'm like, oh, it's all about how I feel. Yeah. And that's what people remember too. Yeah, it's exactly. Like, yeah. You, like no one's like, oh, Nicole like looked really good like 3 years ago at that 4th of July party. It's like no one remembers
but like if you're there and you were miserable, they'd be like, Nicole was really miserable at that
Nicole's
party.
A bitch at that party.
Yeah. And you're like, I was just hungry. Like,
Nicole needed a burger so badly.
Someone should have fed Nicole.
Nicole. I'm happy that we both made it out.
We did. Like, had to crawl out of that hole for a bit, but once you're out of it, I think I would like to think that like that's I would never go back to that.
Right.
I don't think
I could. Yeah. I don't think I ever could.
I feel like the grass is so much greener over this side. I'm just like, I'm not doing that ever again. Like, even if I've had, and I have had like a phase like this year where I was just like, oh, I've gained a bit of weight.
I did too this year.
Yeah.
I think we're on the same timeline.
We literally are. Everything. But like, I was never like, oh my God, like I need to like lose weight. I was just like, well, this is what my body looks like at this phase of my life. Right. And like, that's okay. Like, that's just what it is. And like, I like it. I don't have a problem with it. I feel like sometimes, I guess it's hard for us because we obviously make content and like what you're saying earlier.
People are criticizing you and looking at you always.
That's the only time I ever get like stress is if I feel like people are like, oh, she's gaining weight, because it's like they're saying it negatively, but like I don't feel about it negatively.
Right, so exactly. I have to like, should I think about it negatively?
That's what so I've had to like reality check myself and be like, okay, and like, are you happy? Yes.
Right.
Do you feel good? Yes. Do you feel like you look good? Yes. So I'm just like,
so
okay,
why does it
that's
matter
all that matters. Yeah.
Do you get body comments?
Like, not actively like on my page, but there's like threads. It's probably the same as like Reddit.
Threads.
Yeah. There's like, there's a whole website in the UK that's like designed kind of like around like basically just being mean to like influencers.
Shut up.
Yeah. It's like a forum, and people like make threads about you, and I will say like mine really isn't.
I'm like there's no way anybody has anything mean to say about you,
like that bad. I mean they just have mean things to say about everyone. Like, these are just people who I think just like will just comment on anything. I really try to like detach from it because I'm just like, I can't spend my life like reading stuff like that. It's gonna make me miserable. But
I can't read Reddit.
No,
it's actually like the scary. Like, I literally have it blocked.
It's like the UK's version of Reddit, I think. So I'm just like, that's where like people will say mean things if they're gonna say it. But honestly, like, it's not like that bad. But there was comments about me like gaining weight this year, and I was just like, I'm fine. Like, I'm having a good time. Like, it's like, you know, if you're worried about that, like, that says more about you than it does about me. Right. Like, why are you so concerned about like the size of my ass?
Weird.
Like,
exactly. It's really weird. I mean, do we not have anything else going on? Also, if you're gonna make body comments, you better like have a 8-pack abs.
Yeah, like
like be in the Olympics.
Also, like, literally. No, it's always like anonymous people as well. So you're just like, you're never gonna figure out like who it is, and I'm just like, oh, there's not. Yeah, I can get really like drawn into it sometimes because I think I'm such a people pleaser that like when I see negative comments, I feel the need to like, you know, like react to them. But I'm just like, this year I was just like, I really need to take a step back, because like, if you don't like know me personally, then like you have no right to comment on like anything I'm doing in my life.
100%. This is so random. If you were gonna be in the Olympics for something, now I'm thinking about.
I know I'm gonna love this question. Like,
what would you go to the Olympics for?
I think, do you know what I would love to do is like the like synchronized swimming.
Okay, that looks so hard.
Because I'm like, that is like all of them.
You are a little swimmer.
No, like I try. I swim sometimes.
You just did a triathlon.
Yeah, but like the swimming was like the worst part. Like, I was near on drowning. Like, I wouldn't really go swimming. Like, I don't know how I made it through that.
How did you get your hair in the cap?
Oh, I don't know. I literally like just scrunched it up. Like, when I train, I have like so much like, it's just like, I put a cap on straight away as soon as I ripped that swim cap off, because I was like, imagine like curly hair after being on like a bike with a helmet on. Like, I'd look microwaved. Like, I was like, I need to like put something on this. It was not cute.
Microwave.
It would literally be like, it's like the little curlies like here would just be like, hi.
No, I know them well. I know them well.
Like the ones that like haunt you. Like the synchronized swimming, because I'm like, everybody in the Olympics is obviously an athlete, but I'm like, that looks so hard, like physically, but so also like hard cardiovascularly. Like, you have to hold your breath for such long periods of time. Also, you have to be like on the beat, able to dance. Like, I just watch it and I'm like, wow,
holding your breath.
And they have like their noses like shut, so it's like they just have to breathe through their mouths, I think. What would you do?
Well, not breathe.
Or not just not
underwater. They can't breathe underwater. They're aqua women. That, I honestly don't think synchronized swimming would be good for my body image either.
Oh yeah, fair. They are all like tiny,
they were all like, not that I would do this, but I did just see the breakdancing. Did you see that? Everyone's been talking about the breakdancing. That's too funny to me. Is there archery?
Yes.
I feel like I would want to do archery.
That would be so cool. Like imagine being like, I want gold for like archery. Like yeah.
Like live my Hunger Games.
I feel like letting that go and like seeing it just like hit. You
satisfying.
Best feeling ever.
Satisfying.
I mean, I would do all of them if I could.
Yeah.
My like toxic trait is like I watch the Olympics and I think like give me 4 years and I'll qualify. Like give me one sport, tell me to do it. I'll be doing that synchronized swimming.
Yeah, I actually want to see you in synchronized swimming.
I wouldn't even be able to get my leg out of the water. Like when they do that, I'm just like, how?
I have no idea how they do that.
So impressive.
It's very impressive.
Yeah. maybe something on like the track, like the like sprinters. I'm just like, oh no. I know who would be racing first.
I know. Actually, can we all race against Orlando Man?
Let's do it.
That would be iconic.
Strong Girl Society.
Yeah.
Orlando Man on the track.
I couldn't do track. I don't know how.
I just think like they're phenomenal. Like I watch those women and I just think like, but they've been doing that since they were like 6. Like they're like born into track. But I'm just like, that feeling of like crossing that finish line must just be like, incredible.
I'm sure.
We'll never know, but
I will never know. And you know what? That's not for me to know.
Yeah, I'm the none of my business. Yeah.
I used to be a runner, but I do find that whenever I'm in my running phase, it's because I'm going through something.
Yeah, it's the best therapy, I think.
It is good therapy, but then I take it too far.
You just keep running.
I keep running.
Ultra marathons.
I'm just like doing too much, and my body's like falling apart. Yeah. It's like
it's hard.
My wheels are falling off as I'm going.
Like when I went through my breakup last year, like I ran a lot. Like I was training for a marathon, but like I remember like all I wanted to do was run and train because it's just. I think it's finding that like healthy like coping mechanism, and
that's gonna be my yoga training this
time. Oh, you're gonna be so zen. You're gonna come out of like a whole different person.
But yeah, I mean, going through breakups will have you doing some crazy things. Let's talk about breakups because I feel like every girl can relate.
Yeah,
we all go through them. They suck. I think everybody's always asking me like, how do you get over a breakup? How do you move on? Yeah. And I think we can start with what you just said, which is finding like a healthy coping mechanism.
Yeah. I think that saved me last year. But I also think one thing that I realized like last year was you have to feel everything. Like, because when I came out of it, I think sometimes you can like come out the other side of a breakup and be like, right, I need to do that like post-breakup glow up. Like I need to be like on it. And it's just like, that's gonna come, like that will come in time, but you actually just need to be sad for a bit. And I think that was something I did. Like I like called it like the rut, the post breakup like rut. I sat in that rut and I like let myself be really sad for like 2 weeks and like cried, just slobbed around, and then after that I was like, right, okay, now I can like activate my healthy coping mechanisms and like get on my running stuff and like go back to the gym, and that definitely helped me.
I think sitting in the feelings and processing is so important, and like getting everything out of your brain and just like validating yourself of like, I can be upset about this, and like this doesn't make me weak, this doesn't make me stupid. I feel like a lot of times some people are like, I'm so stupid for like you know, staying with this or sticking with this or putting up with that for so long, or tolerating that, and that's really hard. I do think like the glow up, like you said, like will come, but I think if you lead with just like, I want him to like see what he misses, you're not doing it for you.
You're not healing yourself. You're just like, you might be like, oh, I don't care.
It's like another armor.
Like, it's like a defense mechanism. It's just like, how can I like get back at this person, rather than it's like, you're still focusing on them. You need to like completely detract from them and be like, this is all about me now, and like I'm just gonna put myself first.
Did you break up with your ex, or did he break up?
It was kind of like a forced hand. Like I didn't want the relationship to end, but like it got to a point where I was just like, I can't be with you anymore. Like he just was
toxic.
Just such a mean person, and like it got progressively like worse and worse, and you just get to a point where you're like, you're not actually a safe person to be around right now, and like I think I just had a moment of clarity, and I was just like,
like what was your like breaking point?
I think it was, so we actually went away, and his family like flew out to meet us, and I'd like met his sister before, and we were like quite friendly, and we had like a bit of an incident at like a pool party, and he basically like erupted and was just like shouting at me in front of like the whole pool party and his sister like pulled me to the side and was like, you can't be with him. Like I see like traits in him that like are so bad, and like I've seen this with him when he was like, just all this stuff like kind of came up, and I was just like, if number one, if you're doing this in public, in front of your family, like this is never going to get better. And like, you know, behind closed doors is one thing, but like you're feeling like it's acceptable to treat me like this in public now, and like that's not okay. So I think I was just like, that was a big like thing for me. And then when his sister was like, you can't be with him, I was like, your own like flesh and blood is literally telling me to leave, and like if I ignore that, like I'm an idiot. So I was just like in that, like literally in that moment, like left that pool party, went back to Airbnb, like got my suitcase, got a flight, and was just like, I'm out of it. Yeah, because I was like, I also like called my mum and was just like, I need to tell you everything that's been going on, because I hadn't told them anything, because I was just like trying to protect you know, like what the image of it.
Exactly. You don't want to tell them something and then they hold it against that person, and then you always be like, why are you with that person if like this? So if they just don't know, it's like,
if they think it's perfect, then you think it's perfect, and it's like it's savable. So I just like told my mum, and I was just like, as soon as I told her, I was just like, there's no coming back from this. Like, my mum and dad like literally want to bury you in the ground. Like, we're never gonna be together.
You can't invite him over and like have dinner.
Like, life isn't gonna go back to normal after that.
Be like toasting to each other. Like,
So it was like, I guess like I did end it, but it wasn't a like.
Sometimes but I feel like, do you think if you didn't like pack up and leave at that moment and that didn't happen, like you may have stayed with that person? And
because this wasn't like the first like incident like that had happened. Like we'd had many an occasion where like I should have walked away and I didn't. So I was just like, I think it seems like when I look back, I'm like, oh my goodness, that was so dramatic, because we were in Mykonos, and I needed to like, I was like, I need to leave. And the first
you were in like Greece?
Yeah, we were in Greece.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so we were like away, and he was from the States, so he'd flown over from the States to Greece. Like, his family had flown over from the States to Greece.
Oh my god,
it was a whole thing. And I think like looking back, I'm just like, so I flew from Greece to Rome because it was the first flight out of there. And I think in the moment, like now I look back, I'm just like, that's so crazy. Like, why was I not just like, just wait for the flight to England? Like, it's fine.
Get the direct.
But I think I was literally, I know myself, and I know him, and I know that
he would have talked you out of it.
Back out of it so many times. So I was just like, if I don't literally get on this airplane and fly to a different country, this man is just going to swim me back into his life. And like, it just wasn't, I needed it not to be salvageable. So I was just like, get me out of the country.
Right.
Just went and sat in Rome and cried for like 3 days, ate some pasta. Like, what better way to like heal though?
Not a bad place to do that.
I was like, I'm sad, but I'm eating pasta. So
you were living your eat, pray, love in 3 days.
It really was. Apart from like, if any man tried to speak to me, I would have literally hit them in the face.
Oh, did you block him on everything?
So he actually blocked me.
Oh. Okay. It's like, I know you were gonna. I was gonna do it, but why did you do it?
So like, he blocked me, and then like I had, but which was fine. I think like honestly, it did me such a favor, because I think I would have tried to reach out and be like, hey, like, you know, maybe try to like speak to him and have that like closure. But we didn't speak for like literally like 3 months.
Wow.
After that, like there was just no communication, like apart from his sister.
I just can't believe that you were like in Rome and he just blocked you and like didn't care about your safety.
Literally didn't care. But he was like, the way the relationship was like, he was always the victim. So like he was like, you abandoned me, you left me in Greece, and I was just like,
well,
why did I do that?
Why did I
have to fly away from you? That's like reflect on that for a second.
Did you like Rome?
Yeah, I mean, it was really nice. I think it was like, it was the best thing for me to do. Like, I was just walking around, like I said, like eating pasta. Like, I got to explore, I got to distract myself and just be by myself for a bit, because it was like, you know, when you have to go back into like a safe space that was shared with that person. That's always like one of the worst things. So we'd been in my apartment, so I was just like, I had to go back and like pack up his things and like
having to pack up.
I know.
Stuff too. It's like now I'm like doing all this stuff.
Yeah, now I'm like doing your laundry,
folding it. Yeah, now I'm like folding his clothes.
My therapist was just like, throw it in the bin, and I was just like, I wouldn't do that. Like, I would feel too bad. I should have probably
burn it.
Burn it. I was like, I'm just gonna post it back to the US and then like whatever.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so when did you start therapy?
That was, so I was, this is also a massive red flag for me. I was in therapy before I met him, and I stopped like after I met him. So before.
Oh, you were thought like, this is it. I don't need therapy.
No, I started like lying to my therapist. No. About the relationship.
That's so
and
mean.
I was like, like come on. Like, when I look back, I'm just like, you literally had to lie to your therapist about like this man's behaviors. Because like you were so like, I was so intent on like making it this perfect thing, which is crazy.
Oh
so
my God.
I started therapy at the beginning a flash.
Thinking of you being like, actually, we don't have to do this anymore.
I was like, I'm healed, and I was actually
I'm
like,
perfect.
I'm really going
like,
through it, but like I can't. I went back to therapy like post breakup, and that first phone call, she was just like, oh my goodness.
Do you think she didn't know?
She just said that like it was just a bit strange that like, you know, I was like, I'm fine, like I don't need to carry on, and I disappeared off the face of the earth.
Oh my god.
And then when I went back, she was just like, oh my god.
Was it like you were being therapized and then like he started doing stuff and then you were kind of backed out, like you bowed out?
Yeah, like I just was just like, I don't know, I just was like,
embarrassed?
I would go to therapy, and she'd be like, how's this situation? And I'd be like, it's great. Like, and I was just like, why am I so intent on like protecting this? And like, I think I just knew that like if I told her, she would be like,
leave.
Yeah, like get away
and
from this person. Ready. Yeah. You need to come to that realization in your own mind sometimes. Like a lot of the times when I reflect on it and speak about it, like a lot of my friends are just like, I don't get why you were with him. And you've probably had like men that you were with, and everyone's like, God, and even now you're probably like, why was I with them? But in the moment, like sometimes you just are like, you just feed yourself lies. Like I think that's what I was doing. I was just like, and you hold on to the good things, even if they're like minute. You're just like, there are still those moments of good, so you're like, it can be good. And it's just like, it can't.
You definitely hang on to the good moments and those replay, and you're like, well, I really liked who he was at the beginning, or I really liked this, like why can't it be like that again? And you kind of like tried to like simulate that happening again, so you're like tiptoeing around, how can I just feel good again? It's like that whole thing of like us like romanticizing things. It's like you romanticize it. It's just us, like I do love romanticizing things, but it definitely gets me into some situations where I end up disappointed because I'm like, well, that didn't look the way like my dreams looked. Which is like hard as well, because I do that all the time, and like I've literally had this conversation with like the person that like I'm speaking to now, and I was just like, I get so scared of being let down, and that's not a you problem. Like that's a me problem, because I expect a lot, like, or like I like dream big, and I'm just like, oh, like this could be like this, and then if it doesn't work out like that, which it doesn't because it's reality, I will feel like let down when like they've not done anything. That like line hit because it's reality. That's like, that's kind of sad. But it's like I love the idea of like a fairy tale. I'm such a hopeless romantic. Same. Like, I mean, I still believe like when I meet my person, it's just like gonna happen. Exactly. Amazing. Because who would have won? We're gonna ride off into the sunset. It's the Miami sunset on a yacht. But I do think I've never had a therapist. My parents never put me in therapy. I yell at my mom to this day. I'm like, you should have put me in therapy. Like there were so many signs. Like you should have put me. But I've always thought like I can get through things on my own or with my friends or by learning. And like that's why I started going to church recently, because I feel like I was getting a lot from that, and that was a form of therapy. But I think it was me dipping my toe into like seeking guidance. And for some reason therapy just like scared me, because it's admitting that there's something wrong and that needs to be fixed. And like I just also don't know how comfortable I am confiding in somebody who I don't know, like who's a stranger. It's a like definitely a scary step. I think I would say like I think it's one of the best things I've ever done. And I'd never started it because I was like, something is like wrong. I think I was just like, it's just such a safe space, and if you can find a therapist that like you connect with on that level, which doesn't happen immediately, like I went through like 2 therapists to find like the one that I did eventually like, and it's just kind of because there will be things and they'll connect dots that you would never connect in your life. Like everything comes from something, so like a lot of what you're kind of probably experiencing with like relationships and stuff, like a lot of it will relate to like your childhood and like what you saw growing up, or the way that your parents spoke to you, or the tiniest little things. And it's, for me, like therapy was kind of about going back into my childhood and almost like healing myself of like things that I didn't get healed from in the moment, like maybe like your parents didn't clock onto, or your parents didn't provide you with, like you kind of almost visualizing yourself being that parent to yourself. And now in certain situations, like I'll kind of go through something and I'll be like, wait, like this is like my inner child is the one that's reacting here, and like I need to like step in and like you know, take control over it. And I think it's it wasn't necessarily for me about like fixing things that were wrong. It was just like finding really healthy coping mechanisms. I do feel like I would recommend, like if anyone has access, to like try it. Like I think it would be great. Also, it's so strange that like you've never, like
gone to therapy, but I feel like for so many people, you probably are like their therapist with this.
I'm so unqualified.
And you have like, no, but you have like amazing advice. Like you were such a self-aware person, and that comes from therapy sometimes.
I feel like I'm such like a fixer and a healer. And I also am the person who's like, I can do it myself. Like with anything, like I never asked for help. And I think like growing up, my parents going through their divorce, like I felt like I had to be the strong one, like for my mom. So it was about like, what can I do for her? And like, I couldn't be upset. I couldn't be like the one who had problems. Like I just had to fix things myself. And because she was going through stuff, I didn't feel like I could, you know, confide in her, like add that to her plate. And like my sister was kind of like my mother, and like she raised me, I would say, in a lot of ways. But we never really talked about it. Like no one talked about it in my house. Really? Like everybody, no one communicated. Everybody was an avoidant. We all pretended like everything was okay and like things were not okay. And I think I really took on this role of like learning and wanting to like grow. And I've really dove into a lot of like books and podcasts and just trying to like figure myself out by myself. And I think it's gotten to a point now where it's like, I'm happy and I've figured a lot of things out and I am smart and I know why I am the way that I am. Like I'm very emotionally intelligent, but some things are just not like in my control, and some things I can't understand. And I'm starting to understand that like, it doesn't have to be all on me. Yeah. Like, and it's okay to ask for help, but it took me a really long time and now it's like literally right now where I'm feeling like, I can ask for help and that doesn't make me weak, and like I can still be a confident person and go to therapy. Yeah. And like
it doesn't have to I think it's the kind of like, I guess like how people think of therapy is like you go to therapy because like you need help and like you can't do things by yourself, but like you said, like that's not the case. And it's maybe think of it as like a problem shared is a problem halved, and like also gaining like other perspective on a situation.
I like because that, a problem shared is problem halved.
It's like because it's definitely true. It's like it's a bit of a weight off your shoulders, and I can't even imagine like kind of going through everything you went through when you're younger. Like that's a lot to bear, and even though you feel so strong and confident now, like that can take a toll on you. And it does. Everybody has a breaking point, and emotions don't just like, you know, go away. Like they gather within you and they'll come out like later in life. And I think having like therapy and a space to like talk through those things and those situations could probably be like so healthy for you and just help you kind of, you know, free up some of that weight as well.
Yeah, free up some space. Yeah. I'm like, I got a lot going on there. I definitely need to free up some space. But yeah, I don't even know where to start. Like, how did you find your therapist?
So my first ones, I went on like BetterHelp. I think
that's
like a
I
really
get
big
ads
thing
for
yeah, same all the time, but it was like good and like but
like
also
targeted.
It's like it's literally like dating sometimes with the therapist. Like so my sister's actually a qualified therapist now.
Let's
like,
go to her.
I'll send you her details. Yeah. She's great. She's my therapist. So I went on that, and then I went through like 2 or 3 therapists on there. And then to be fair, it was actually like I saw somebody on Instagram like talk about their therapist, and I was just like, I went on them, had an introduction call with them, spoke to her, and I was just like, we just like got along. And I was just like, because I think there is like a level of like you have to get along with this person, and like
I want them to almost feel like a friend.
Yeah, like you just want to be able to sit down and be like, oh, like this is going on this week, and then be like, okay, like how do you feel about it? And like it's just helping work through things and gaining that like outside perspective, because I think you might be similar to me. Like sometimes I'm just like my way or the highway,
right? And
it's actually taking someone to be like, okay, you think like this, but like how about we think about it from this perspective? And then you're like, oh yeah, like that makes so much sense. So, yeah, maybe I'm not right. Like
oh, that's a tough pill to swallow. Yeah, being right. But okay, yeah, I feel like it's really like the idea of having to like talk to multiple people and like figure out how it works. It's literally like dating, and I'm like, I just don't want to do it anymore. I'm
done. I'm tapping out.
Do it. Like if it doesn't work the first time,
I don't want to date men yet. No. Therapists. So like no thanks.
Do you do it like online? All of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was. I feel like it's less intense when it's like online.
Yeah, like how do I just like I'm like, hey, and then like, oh, my therapist doesn't have a field day. Like how do I like start unloading on them?
This was like my first like session with my like one of the first therapists I had. I remember I was just like I sat down with them, and she was just like, so like I guess like what I did was I sat and I wrote down like things that I wanted to cover. There was like because there's things that I recognize about myself that I'm like, I want to like work on this. Like, how do I work on that? So like I wrote down a list. I was like, these are the top 5 things I want to cover in therapy. And that really helps, because then you're not going and you're just sat there like,
right.
But like, trust me, like I've had weeks where I've gone to therapy and they're like, how are you doing? And I'm like, I'm fine. And they're like, and I'm like, yeah. But then also those end up being the sessions where like you delve a bit deeper,
right.
and like stuff will like I've had stuff come up from like my childhood or like relationships like that feels a bit random, but like actually you're like, oh my god, that was such a monumental thing that like I've not delved that deep into my brain. I've not even thought about it for such a long period of time, but like I needed to like work through it.
Yeah, to like unpack that. And then yeah, I'm gonna literally sign up for therapy right after this.
BetterHelp.
I'm gonna go to BetterHelp. This was like an ad. I'm like, so anyways, this podcast sponsored by BetterHelp. They're like, oh,
that makes so much sense now.
It's not, but I have been getting ads for them recently, and I think that's really funny that they're targeting me.
I'm
like, what did I say?
What do they know?
What do they know?
They've been listening to God therapy.
Oh, they've been listening to everything. Phone calls, everything. Oh my god. Okay, well, I feel like we covered like everything. Is there really anything that you want to bring up or talk about?
I mean, I feel like we've done like the whole 360.
Yeah, we've really brought it all the way back. That's true. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me. I'm kind of sad that like you're not gonna come on next week.
Bye guys.
Every week, but she might start a podcast.
I might.
I don't know if you want me to put that out there, but
it's been. I feel like I've spoken about it so much online. I've been like, oh, I might, and then everyone's
I think I heard you say that. Yeah, just do it.
I've been saying it for like 2 years.
I want to see you prop up that mic and just talk.
I feel like that could be my therapy now.
So that was another thing. Like this was my therapy. Yeah, I created a whole podcast because I didn't want to go to therapy.
Anything to avoid that cost.
I'm like, maybe this will do it.
This will fix me.
Nope. Now I have a podcast and I have to go to therapy.
Now you're just loading more.
Now I have more.
More stress.
Shit. Oh my god. Well, that's how it is sometimes. Yeah. But anyways, okay. Well, thank you, Holly. I hope that you come back on to another episode. Guys, follow her everywhere. Let them know like all your socials.
Oh yeah, so my handle is at hollyb_fitness. And then if you want to join Strong Girl Society Facebook group, it's still there, still rocking away.
I should join. People share like their workouts and food or what is it?
It's more like tips and tricks.
Like, ooh, I like that. Okay.
But we're launching socials for it soon, so that'll be up hopefully in the next few weeks.
Yeah, you have Instagram for it?
Not yet. That's what I know. Trust me, this was like
who uses Facebook?
I know. Hey, there's 18,000 of us on that. Yeah, we're gonna launch socials for it because I was just like the fact that we don't have an Instagram page is wild.
Yeah, you have to get an Instagram page because I'll definitely follow
that's coming.
The Instagram page. Yay! Well, I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. See you next week. Bye.